right, we're live. Hopefully we'll get some guests rolling in here soon, but they can listen to it on the playback if they need. All right, man. How's the nice to meet you, by the way. How's the body feeling?
Nice to meet you too. Good. I wasn't too beat up after WFP, so just slowly getting back into training.
Were you more beat up after semifinals? Online semifinal?
Yeah, I think I would say so. Also because I had to redo one of them. So I redid the workout with the rope climbs and rowing, toes to bar.
I was just about to say that's the worst one to redo.
And it was a lot of volume, yeah. So I was a little bit sore, my core and grip, but then I was able to bounce back pretty well. So
yeah, because you got a 12th on that one, which is pretty solid. What pace were you holding on the rower?
Actually around 155. So pretty slow, just recovery.
Yeah, I think that was actually, I was thinking some people might even be like closer to 2. Just depending, I guess, on you're a little taller, so maybe you need to go a little faster, because like some people who are, you know, a little bit quicker on the toes to bar will probably make up a lot of speed.
Yeah.
But 30 minutes is not a long time. Like a 155 and going to a 152 would hurt way more for, 3 seconds, or is it 1,000 meters? So 6 seconds per set.
Yeah.
Not really worth it.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a matter of maximizing the toes to bar and rope climbs, because you could lose a ton of time there. And so if you went a little slower on the row, you could do those a little faster.
So the first time you did it, was there an issue with the video or something, or did you just row too fast and you felt like you could have done better?
Yeah, I went too hard from the gate, and I think I had a 1 minute drop off between round splits. And so I just redid it and wanted to get a better score. And I improved by 3 rope climbs, which actually was pretty big. I didn't really need to with like the overall picture, but I think I made up 10 spots or something like that. I don't know. I didn't look at it though.
Yeah. Did you feel like if you had started for the first time you did at 155, you would have got like, a lot deeper into that next round?
Yeah. Oh, and also breaking up the toes to bar into smaller sets on the second round was much better too. So
yeah, I still think you could probably have an elite time and do like 5s, as long as you're very disciplined and you're jumping right back on.
I was actually 7, 7, 6, 5, 5. So it was almost 5, 6s basically.
Yeah. Dang. Yeah. Yeah. I think that one being so long, it's definitely more of a test. I mean, maybe not more, but a big test on discipline and pacing, because you can mess it up so much. And with such a deep field, obviously there was, everyone basically did it. But did you find that was the hardest workout for semis?
No, I would say the hardest workout execution wise was the one with the burpees.
Yeah.
Just because there was so many ways that you could either mess up some kind of turnaround, like a false start, or a, just to glance the bar on your burpees. And so that one was a little bit tougher mentally, and also it just hurt the most. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Were the shuttle runs tougher than expected?
Yeah, they got slower each round. So definitely.
Did you go? I didn't see any of the videos. Did you go touch and go on any of the clean and jerks,
No.
or were you just fast single?
I was one of the people that just did fast power clean, or like muscle clean and push press.
Yeah.
And just tried to not use as many muscle groups while I was doing the clean jerk, so I could just burn it down on the burpees.
Yeah. Was that the goal? Just like, I'll go max, well, not max, but really hard set 1 and try and hold on?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I think I did 16 burpees set 1, and then I was doing 14, 10, 9, and then 12.
Yeah.
So I did go pretty hard out the gate.
Did it feel more stressful than, like quarterfinals have in the past?
I had a pretty good team of like judges and video people, like I think more so than in quarterfinals. So I think they took some of the stress off. And but I mean, it was a similar feel to that for sure.
Yeah. So even though higher stakes, just having like more preparation and more help.
Yeah.
Like,
more help for sure helped a lot.
Yeah. What did you stay at a home gym, or did like where you normally training at, or did you travel?
I actually train at an affiliate, Snow Ridge CrossFit. It's like 2 minutes away from my house, so I just did it there.
Nice. And where are you out of?
Snoqualmie, Washington. It's close to Seattle.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then you're working with Jason Layden?
Jason Layden, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, like I guess I can't now, I'm forgetting the years. Like 2012, he was one of the instructors at my L1
Mm-hmm.
in Atlanta. So
Sweet.
yeah,
I
kept
didn't
up
actually
with him a
know
little
that
bit.
he did that, the L1.
Yeah, I don't know if it was much longer after that. I don't remember because I didn't take an L1 again after that, but I just remember seeing him being like, "Oh, wow, there's like tall people that are,"
Yeah.
because I'm 6 foot, so I'm like kind of taller
Mm-hmm.
in the space, and he's a little bit taller than that if I remember right. And I was just like seeing him doing, it was maybe like butterfly chest bar or something at the L1. I was like, oh, okay, so like there's hope, like tall people can do this, because you
Yeah.
didn't see that often.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. So yeah, so it seems like you work with a couple people.
Yeah.
Is that like something new you introduced? Because I see some people do it, and it seems like some people do it kind of like they're just maybe not collaborating together, or maybe someone's not on board. But it just seems like they're like, I'm going to get this running program, I'm going to get this strength program, and then I'm going to fill in my workouts.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you handle having multiple coaches and planning all that?
I think communication between the coaches is really important. So I have my other coach, Zach Filer. He is a conjugate tactical coach, and he communicates with Jason a lot because they know each other through the Power Monkey Fitness Camp, and so
Got it.
they've worked together in that. For They communicate on a daily basis about my training, and so that helps a lot. And then I also have a running coach, Scotty, who is good friends with them, and he kind of puts it in alongside the other stuff. So I think it's very important that if you have coaches that are specialized in their area of expertise, to have them talk to each other often.
Yeah. Yeah, it probably wouldn't work if they weren't like close and friends
Mm-hmm.
and able to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, someone might be able to make it work if it's a little less communication, but it won't be optimal or ideal.
Mm-hmm.
And what kind of running are you doing? Like a lot of running right now, or?
So my coach, he's an ultra marathon runner, and basically since last year in the summer, I've been doing just a ton of volume accumulation and just putting in miles to get better. And so he's helped with like a progression of paces and stuff with those types of workouts, but just purely running. And I think
Cool.
now I'm at the point where I can start introducing more mixed modal running elements.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it's good to know when you've done a lot of like base, like building with
Mm-hmm.
the running, like you can't remove the miles. Like once you
Yeah.
have those stacked up, you just get a lot more comfortable. And I think
Mm-hmm.
people definitely should do that more. And I get you can't just run slow all the time, but I think once you build the base, you really understand its importance. Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Do you run like 3 days a week? Or you more? Or is it kind of vary depending on season?
It was 3 days a week since the summer of last year, uh,
Wow,
20 plus miles a week at
that's a lot.
so like one easy running day, one tempo interval day, and then one steady state day. So
Got it.
basically lots of just pure running.
All on road, or do you mix it up? Do you go on a runner ever?
I mixed it up. So I did some treadmill, some road, and then a little bit of track here and there,
Yeah,
but mostly road for sure.
that's cool. What do you did you struggle a lot with running, or did you just feel like it was a necessary area that you wanted to be really good in?
I think I struggled a ton. Like I've historically, even last year at semifinals, I took a almost, bottom 10 finish in the running event. And that kind of took me out of the race, and kind of was one of the reasons. I mean, I would say the main reason why I didn't punch my ticket to the games last year.
Yeah. That was a tough workout too, though, because I just
Yeah.
remember seeing like people holding on to some strong paces, and
Mm-hmm.
definitely a lot of people going out really fast, and then a
Yeah.
lot of people who shouldn't have tried to hold on did.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a tough event. I thought it was a good event, but tough
Yeah,
event. But
for
yeah, I
sure.
think running super important, and I think most people are just thinking they can just touch on it, and then when a longer event like that, I mean, long for CrossFit running, something with 3 to 5 plus K, you really learn, what it's like to not be able to run fast.
Yeah, not be able to recover too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like feeling like your hips are broken and when you're trying to squat in the next event.
Yeah, I just basically was trotting once I dropped the bar for the last round or the second to last round. I think I walked for a little bit because I couldn't catch my breath while running or just recover. So that's how low my capacity was.
Yeah. Did you feel like you just didn't run enough, or you were just not, just didn't have any base volume built in it?
I think I ran a bit, but I think I mostly ran in a mixed modal setting, and I don't think I was able to, like you said, the base volume wasn't there.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So for WFP, going to that, pretty strong finish. Like worst placement was 10th, which is, I feel like everyone, even in the challenger, it was like funny. The challenger division is just like games athletes and really good semifinal athletes. You basically anyone there, I feel, well, I don't know about anyone, but 90%, because I don't know the whole field, you felt like they all would be in a qualifying spot to the games or could be.
Or
could
be. Yeah, I would say if you would look at the field and then look at the upcoming fields for like TFX this weekend, it's pretty comparable to that. So like for me, it was a good confidence builder to where like I qualified online for the CrossFit Games through an affiliate, but I wanted to have that semifinal experience, and then I kind of did through the WFP Challenger division.
Yeah, for sure. And you had some good. It looked like Jack was kind of in the mix with you at the end too.
Yeah,
and obviously he's he's elite. And did it feel like with less pressure? I don't even know if it was less pressure for you, because I mean,
I think it was a little bit. Yeah.
Do you feel like it was like a good experience for like almost like you're saying, like experience and testing like something in person?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was kind of a necessary experience to where some of my weaknesses got challenged, and like I can take that data moving forward for like the bigger fields, more dense fields at the games or whatever competition I have coming up. So
what did you think the toughest event was there?
For me, it was that 10th place finish was the front squat and pull-up bar workout. I think I have a limiter in my positions with the front rack, so that's definitely something that I knew, and that I'm glad it got exposed a little bit so that I can work on different ways to get better at that.
Did it feel like when you were did coming off the pull-up bar every set make it tougher, holding the rack each round?
Yeah. I think just the compounding movements of, if you were to put like any sort of upper body gymnastics with a front squat, a clean and jerk, a thruster, those types of combos always kind of get me.
Okay. And because your squat is strong, so you think it's mainly the front rack?
Yeah. I for me, it's just like the back squat. I would rather do a back squat than a front squat for sure. Maybe even an overhead squat.
Yeah. It depends on the movements for sure, but I mean, as the fatigue sets in, and then it's like it wasn't like a sprint event, but I mean, you had to get to the bar, and there's no like breaking it up. You have to hold on to it really, so it makes it tougher. So going back to conjugate, have you felt like introducing that has helped?
Yeah, I mean, my sort of introduction to conjugate was last year through kind of accessory work first. And I think, I mean, what do you think? Like, do you think people kind of see conjugate as like accessories, like they start putting in like, I don't know, banded cleans or something, and they think it's conjugate,
I think most people have like, they just think of Louis and think of West Side, whereas like conjugate was, it's like a Russian method, and it was developed for weightlifters and really strong people. So I think you do need to be strong before starting it, or at least you need to have a coach that understands how to build into it. And then Louis obviously made it really famous for the West Side conjugate method, and that was for powerlifters, really strong power lifters.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like a lot of people just think it's like, I'll just look up on Google and I figure this is conjugate. I'm just going to like throw it into my training, and not having, I'm sure your coach obviously is extremely smart with conjugate and knows it really
Mm-hmm.
well. So he can develop a system for you that uses that. Whereas like some people are like, I'm just going to max out on Monday and then I'm going to do band work, and they don't even know, like you said, they don't really know how to do it. Or they're just like, if I just do X accessory, it's going to make me great, or it's going to make me better. And they don't understand, like, it doesn't make you stronger just by doing conjugate. Like, you're doing conjugate to get stronger and make the training optimal for you. So, yeah, like, how do you do like a max effort day every week, or does it change, depending on the time of year?
Yeah. So now, I started kind of in the summer of last year of actually doing a conjugate split, and not just like, putting accessories around like Olympic lifting, but actually doing like a max effort lower, dynamic effort lower, and then max effort upper and dynamic effort upper. So like, like on Mondays, for example, I would do a max effort lower, and let's say that day is like 3-rep max box squat or something.
Yeah.
And so I would build up to that, and then do some complementary lifts, and then more accessories after that. So that's kind of what a day of conjugate looks like. And it could be up to like A, B, C, D, F, G, pieces in the day. So it can add up to a lot of volume as well. So it builds your GPP base for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And again, it's like, most people are probably thinking, I'm going to max out, do it through my 3-rep max back squat. Then I'm going to do, like power clean and jerks, or, some type of Olympic lift. And then I'm going to do this Metcon, and not realizing like how much that is going to be on your system, and like how hard it will be if you're not managing it correctly, especially if you're running a lot too. If you do a little bit too much, it could, it's like, it could be a month setback, like my Achilles is sore, or my, my chest is a little tight now because I did too many ring dips or whatever it is.
Yeah. And making sure you compartmentalize those sessions. So like for me, I basically just do the conjugate session, and that's a session for me for that AM or PM that day. Yeah. So like it's pretty robust. Like, I'm not going to do my conjugate lifting and then go into a Metcon, like you said, or going straight into my running, because I'm not going to have any adaptation from the ones that I do after the lifting. So,
yeah. Did you like when you were in prep for online semis or WFP, did you, when you adjusted that, did you adjust to something like that more like, hey, I'm just going to build up to a quick lift here and then do some more CrossFit style training? Or did you just kind of remove the max effort and adjust?
Well, I did. So the max effort leading up to semis, I think, was a more so like volume accumulation for me. Like, like sets of 10 front squat or back squat, or like 10 sets of 3 power clean into sandbag squat or something like that, where I was accumulating more volume in a sort of conjugate set structure.
So like less, like the percentage was a little bit lower, and then you just extended the volume. Did you feel better doing that, or was it like did it feel like a gift, like you didn't have to work as hard? And
for sure. Like if you were to max out max effort lower in like a conjugate powerlifting landscape is a pretty it's going to beat you up a lot, like it putting on bands and chains and then going for a true max is pretty fatiguing.
So when you do your lower days, is it mostly squat, or do you alternate between like a squat and a deadlift variation, or is it like 3 weeks squat, 3 weeks deadlift, or how does it work for you?
I am a pretty good hinger, I would say. So like for me, the weakest point is my squat. So I've been doing a lot of that, and then hinging has been more so in my accessory work. So I still hit that pattern a lot, and also in Metcons as well, but I'm not loading it as much, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Okay. So, would you typically, like a Monday, would you typically do the conjugate session in the AM or the PM?
Uh, I I would so before the season started, I would do like the PM conjugate sessions and then prioritize conditioning in the AM,
Hmm.
uh, just so I could build that conditioning base, and because that's what I was weak at. But now that like the the loads and the metcons have gone up, I've started to do more AM conjugate sessions, and that's like my first uh, priority of the day to get those done.
Got it. Okay. And then, did you feel like the running was tough when you started doing that? Like kind of balancing like a longer run with, tougher conjugate days?
Yeah, I mean, I think it I felt like the afternoon running was a little bit more sluggish. Like I had to do a bit more warming up to get ready for the paces I had to hit, uh, versus when I was doing it in the morning. It was more. I felt a little lighter, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Like just going into it, I was able to kind of stick to the paces. I got into the zone quicker,
Hmm.
but yeah, it all changes as the season goes on. Just because we're expected to be able to, lift heavy weights like with heavy Isabel and stuff. I
Hmm.
can't be I can't be lighter on the lighter side of my uh, overall body weight and just how I feel. I have to put on some muscle mass.
Do you feel like you struggle with keeping the body weight versus, losing it?
I would say my weight fluctuates quite a bit. Like when I was doing the running training, I was around 200 pounds, and now I think I'm closer to like 212.
Hmm.
So like that 12-pound difference is I can feel it a little bit. So
Yeah.
I think maybe we'll think about, if I want to be a little lighter for the games just because of the volume of endurance work that they usually have.
Yeah.
Uh, but we'll see.
So when you're thinking of that, does a lot of the training dictate, like if you were training a little more endurance, would you just naturally drop a little bit, or do you have to be a
Yeah,
little more conscious with your food too?
yeah, absolutely. I think for me, I don't really track my food, but I really feel a difference when I'm doing different training waves. Like with more endurance volume, my weight goes down pretty fast.
Yeah. And do you feel like it affects the strength a lot, or is it more like it just feels harder, but the numbers are still there?
I would say the second one. I think my absolute strength isn't affected too much, but the the battery is a little bit affected. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to find that balance. And I don't know what you do with your athletes, but um, you know, uh, it's kind of something I've been playing with this year because it's the first time that I've really introduced a ton of endurance volume with like my running. So we'll see how it plays out. But I mean, I don't know what do you think in
Yeah,
terms of that?
it's tough because depending on the person, obviously, like if you're definitely powerful and strong.
Mhm.
So if someone wasn't, they might have to do a lot more. But also the demands of the sport matter because if you run a 10K at the games, it doesn't matter. Like you have to run the 10K
Yeah.
and that's the volume you need to hit. So it's like if you're not, strong enough of a runner to run the 10K, then it kind of like who cares? Like you just have to be able to do it.
Mhm.
Um, so I think it's just a good blend and definitely takes time. Like if you were 2 years into what you're doing now, you'd probably be thinking about it differently. You'd be like, well, I know I can maintain my battery or my lifts have gone up and my, like my sub maximal lifts have gone up too. So I don't even worry about heavy Isabel because, I'll just be able to do it, or at least I'll be able to get a top 10 finish. So
Mhm.
now I need to clean up the endurance. But um, I think most of the time for most people, it's probably load management, like not doing too much and finding that they're not doing too little.
Yeah.
And then just get building efficiency. Like you said, with your front rack. I mean, if your front rack alone improves, you'll feel better in the movement and you could handle more volume or recover quicker. And then you know, if you have 2 years of great running built up, now like, maybe you don't even maybe you just need to run once a week at a easy, like a long session and you're fine. And then the rest of the weeks are like, you know, some type of mixed modal based running or intervals. And, I think it really depends on the person, but overall, like you're going to have to find it for yourself.
Yeah.
And like be smart with tracking. And luckily you got good coaches. So, yeah. And then the test, like who knows what it's going to look like at the games this year with only, 3 days. It looks like only 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully I would love if they added one more day, because to get like the full experience, that would be amazing. But I mean, honestly, 3 days, it seems like, I don't know if they'll go over 9 events, to be honest.
Yeah.
For only 3 days.
And no cuts.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it'll be the least amount of volume that we've had in recent years.
Yeah. Which could be a good thing. I don't know. But yeah, 4th day would be cool, because then maybe they could do a longer endurance event or something off site where you didn't have to stress about having 5 events in one day. You could get one out of the way, leaving 2 to 3 for the rest, or probably 3-ish for the rest. 10 events would be sick. One and then 3 the rest. But I don't know. Yeah, because I mean,
it depends if you
how hard will it be to get outside in New York too?
Yeah, exactly. It depends if you think that you have to kind of go through the ringer to find the fittest on earth, Like, there has to be, over 10 events, and some of them have to be pretty robust,
Yeah.
Because like you said in your video, the durability.
Yeah.
That's a big factor in finding the fittest. So.
Yeah, I agree. And I think 9 events could be enough. And again, like you said, it just depends on what's programmed, but and with no cuts, it kind of makes it different too, because if, event 8 is a home run for some guy who's in, 28th place, and it seems like it's almost like a bad thing saying you're in 28th, but it's like you're within the fittest 30 people on earth. So it's really not. And then it changes things. Like you can't game the events differently, or you can't bank on like, well, there's only 10 of us now. So taking a 9th isn't that big of a deal. That'll definitely change things. But yeah, I mean, the durability aspect, hopefully, and hopefully they don't just say like, we're going to do a marathon row day 1 to like check off endurance and resiliency and durability. Hopefully it's, because to me, it's like, if you do a marathon row, the half marathon, I bet you the winners are probably still the same.
Yeah.
And the same with like a run. If you're doing like a 20K run, like, is it really that difference than a 10K? Probably not. But, that's part of the games and part of CrossFit is, not knowing, and, them trying to be a little bit different each season.
Yeah. I agree.
So why did you not go to Mayhem?
So Mayhem was right after the Open, and I actually I had elbow surgery right after Wadapalooza.
Oh wow.
So I just, it wasn't super, invasive per se. Like it wasn't a tendon or anything, but it was like cleaning it out, like removing some bone that was kind of grinding in there. So just the inflammation from that was a little bit, it affected me a little bit in the Open. I actually had to do 25.1 on one arm, like the dumbbell like stuff.
Oh, you just held it in one arm the whole time?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So wore an elbow sleeve on the other side and tried to, do burpees as best I could. But yeah, everything was on that right arm, the good arm. And so basically I was, for me, going to Mayhem was kind of a risk. Like I didn't know if I should do that early. So basically,
yeah, because once you're there too, it's like you're not letting up. You're in the moment.
You're
go hard. That can affect the next comp, the online. That's going to affect WFP.
Yeah, I mean, an online comp, maybe I can, grind through with something like that, and I actually did with World Fitness Project qualifiers.
Yeah,
I kind of gritted through that, but an in-person, like there's no use of going there injured, man. Like it's gonna, it could snowball into something else. And so like, and also I don't want to have it in the back of my head of like, I'm not at 100% and have that affect my effort.
Yeah.
So, just decided that that wasn't the best option for me at that point.
So the surgery, were you having like elbow issues and like with lockout, there was like a
Yeah,
bone that was kind of grinding and stopping against another one?
exactly. It was like it kind of like a hinge that has like a door stopper, like
Yeah.
it wasn't letting me go into the ranges that I had to. So, and that's part of the reason why some of my positions are limited, like the front rack, is just because my muscle memory has been kind of thrown out of whack with this whole thing. So, but it looks like I'm on the right track now. Like I finally know what I'm doing and like understand that it's not just my elbow. It actually trickles up and down through like, my forearm and my shoulder, and the way those work, their
Yeah.
mechanics, like, and fixing that, like fixing the underlying issue, is something that I
Yeah.
just learned about, and I
Yeah,
wasn't
for
taking
sure.
into account earlier on, like a few years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I've definitely learned that from like coaches and therapists, like having a hurt shoulder. They're like, well, we got to look at the neck. We got to look at the elbow. And it's like
Yeah.
always the joint above and below the hip. My knee was acting up. It's like, well, let's look at the ankle and the hip. It's always ends up being some downstream effect. But
Yeah.
did you get the surgery in January or was that February then?
February, beginning of February. So it was, I was doing the open like only 3 to 4 weeks after.
So
So
was it like did they cut it, they shave it off if they're like, hey, like you can't really do much more to it, so it's fine if you just kind of get back to training as long as it's not painful? Or was it like, hey, this needs to
well,
heal?
the orthopedic guys, like they kind of told me that I shouldn't do anything for like months.
Yeah.
Uh, but I think they err on the side of caution with stuff like this because normally I'm not the demographic that gets this type of stuff. Like, it's normally older folk. So like
Yeah.
those people, they kind of want to be careful with their recovery and to make sure they don't snap anything. But for me, I was pretty confident with my coaches that we could just offset some volume, and as long as I felt good and I was still on the upward trajectory to just kind of meander through the open, I guess, and try
Mhm.
and make sure I had a spot locked up, because there's some people now that they didn't do the open and they've been crushing it at these freaking semifinals, but they can't go to the games because they didn't secure their spot. So
Yeah, I saw that with Fuliano and
yeah.
Europe. And was the male in first place also?
No, I think Moritz qualified
He
in
already
Wadland.
qualified. Yeah.
Uh, and I don't know if there's any males that didn't. I think maybe Guy didn't,
Yep.
or did the open, or I'm not sure what happened there, but he's going to some semifinals as well, so I'm excited to
Yeah.
watch him.
Yeah, for sure. The so elbow hurts. Was it in pain for like a year, or were you just like finally one day
Yeah.
it wouldn't lock out right?
No, it was chronic, so like it was just some stuff that I was dealing with pain wise, and then over time it developed into like this uh, lack of mobility and kind of crackling and popping. So I kind of tried to train through that last season, and because my goal was to make it to the games. So even though I had that, like, I still tried my hardest to work through it.
Yeah.
But after that, I realized that I needed to do something about it.
And like meeting with the surgeons, and did you like feel comfortable with that, or was it just like oh man, dude, my life's about to be over, like I'm never gonna strict press again?
Yeah, part of me was thinking that based on how they were talking, uh, and like part of me in the back of my head has some doubt if I'd made, like, if I, how do I put this, like, moving forward, if it'll get worse again or something like that.
Mhm.
But I think movement is medicine. Like, if you're moving the joint, and the way you move and your mechanics in your shoulder and everything are solid, which mine could be way better, then I think that you're in a good spot in healing, because the body heals itself. So
Yeah, so you felt like you had so much room to grow in a lot of the
Yeah,
areas, like, there's so much more potential.
yeah, yeah. Like I'm not. Yeah, I might as well get that done now, that
Yeah,
surgery done, and then move better, move more optimally instead of just being locked up.
for
So.
sure. So then when like rehab started, was it like super slow and you're just like doing some basic, as simple and light as possible and just slowly
Mhm.
add each week?
Yeah, like banded isometrics, basically.
Yeah.
Like just holding an L position with my elbow and with a light band, basically, and just strengthening the little musculature around that area.
And then what kind of prep do you get into now with it? Is it, kind of just like a normal day you're warming up, or do you do anything specific on the upper days to make sure it's feeling good before you, go heavy?
I like to do like cars. Have you heard
Hmm.
of? So just making sure I get the elbow through all the ranges before I start, my lifting or whatever I have that day, and then I'm
Like you do
twisting,
like wrist and elbow,
yeah,
then shoulder.
wrist, and then over over stretching with like a band. I don't know if that makes sense, but like looping a band through my wrist and then kind of like twisting
Hmm.
supination and pronation all
Oh yeah.
as far as it can go. Um, and then just staying on top of like after training, putting a heat pad on it, uh, putting electrical stimulation on it to make sure that I get blood flow all the time to it.
Yeah.
And just making sure like I'm doing that continuously. Like there's no taking an off day because I don't want it to get worse again. So
Yeah, I've definitely dealt with a lot of elbow issues, and it's still a little bit lingering. But overall, outside of training, like the best thing is, I'll do a little bit of ice and then the heating pad and making
mm,
sure the blood is getting there. Um, and like you can tell when, because that's a lot of the pain and the burning. It's like there's not enough blood, and then you warm up, it feels great. But
mm,
then when it stops, blood flow reduces, the area starts hurting again, or at least maybe feeling some discomfort. So
yeah,
I think most
yeah.
people don't utilize heat enough.
And if you ever are interested, look up infrared heating.
Hmm.
They have some pads that you can buy that actually are supposed to go through into the skin, like through the cell
Yep.
walls of the into like the joint itself. So that has helped, I think, for me as well.
Yeah, this company called Red Recover.
Mm,
They're out of business now, but they DM me one day and were like, "Hey, we'll send you this pad and let me know you know if you
yeah.
like it, and then we can make a post." I was like, "Okay." So I got it, and then at the time, I didn't have anything that was like really bothering me,
Mm,
and I told them I was like, honestly, like I don't like see a huge difference in like maybe my knee is sore, and I was like, my knee is definitely warm after it, but I don't know if it's working. And they were
yeah.
like, just don't worry about it, just keep it. And then when I actually started having my elbow issue a little bit more, I started using it more. And it was like, wow, it's actually, obviously, it's not like a cure all, but it's warmer. It feels better. The blood flow is better, like just using it throughout the day. And then, of
Yeah.
course, I was going to tell them, but then they were not on Instagram anymore. I guess they went out of business, but
Mhm.
yeah, it really helps because um, it's wireless as well. So I don't have to like, be plugged into the heating pad. I can just kind of wear it whenever I'm doing something.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some good technology out there for that. Um,
So do you feel that elbow is 100%?
no, I don't think it'll be 100% until uh, later this year or maybe even next year. So
Yeah.
for me, it's just about managing, but it's pretty dang close because I was able to PR my jerk this
It's
weekend,
crazy.
and like it's getting
Yeah.
there. But I
407.
just, yeah, 407.
Yeah, that's huge.
Um,
From the rack, not from the blocks, which is even
yeah,
crazier.
yeah, it makes a huge difference from the rack. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think all athletes are dealing with something like that. Um,
For sure.
I'm sure that they have some stuff that they're trying to optimize, and I'm still trying to. I can still be the best at a version of myself,
Hmm.
even with something that slowly improving. So
Yeah. I felt like for me, definitely with the gymnastics that bothered the elbow the most,
mhm,
mainly strict handstand push-ups.
mhm.
Do you feel that too, or is it like it's hanging better than the pressing?
Yeah. Oh, I think for me the same. Hanging is way better. pressing, fast, like really fast strict handstand push-ups kind of lights it up sometimes. But and also sometimes like snatches and going overhead with heavy weight. Yeah. I mean, but like I said, I was able to do Isabel too, get a pretty good time on that. And then the jerk. So I can tell that it's getting there. It's almost there.
Yeah. Do you, is there like still confidence issue with it, or is it more
No.
just like, I know if it's kind of painful today, I'm just not going to like really aggravate it. And if it feels great, I'm going to push it a little bit more.
Yeah. I would say the second part, like during training for sure, just listening to it. And I do not want to aggravate it at all. And so, I'll work on some other weakness that I have that day if something's bothering me. But as far as confidence goes, like, no, I'm just gonna throw that weight overhead, and it feels okay. If it's compensating on my shoulder or trap, that's okay for now. But we'll work on balancing the sides out, in the off season or something.
Yeah. Okay. So, and are you? Did I hear you were in school? Did James say that? Maybe James said that somewhere in a podcast.
Yeah. I'm in school right now. I have doing a part-time schedule, so definitely not as much load as a full mechanical engineering degree, but I might as well get it done, right?
Yeah. Nice. That's cool.
I'm in 3 years or something almost of credits, so I have a year and change left. So
you're doing a lot of like now where all the engineering classes start to come in.
Yeah, starting to do like the core classes, and then we'll see how I'm going to balance like the capstone projects and stuff with the season. Hopefully it lands more so in the fall and winter when competition season is a little bit relaxed. So we'll see.
And do you like that? Like, is it engineering? You feel like it's a fit for you? Like you like the learning that?
I mean, for my mind, how it works, for sure. Yeah. I think it's a fit. I think if I were to go straight from competing into CrossFit into an engineering job, I might have a hard time adapting and actually being happy with what I do for a living. But I think maybe in the future, I'll be glad that I did it.
Yeah. Do you have any idea of what you would want to use for mechanical engineering? Like, are you like into building, like, like structures, or is it more like on a product side, something smaller?
Yeah. I think for me, I'd probably lean towards the product side, and maybe even something to do with fitness or something, manufacturing some kind of products for that. And
get on the rogue team.
Yeah. I'd be down for that for sure. That I was actually thinking about that at one point.
Yeah. I think anybody would, like, especially growing up in the space, like being able to be, in any type of partnership with them would be cool. Or really any, I mean, as long as you're making like high quality equipment, that would be cool.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like the engineering kind of mindset, you approach the, fitness and training like that? Like, the running, you can get extremely analytical, and I don't mean like in a bad way, but like just how you think of it and break things down and break down the workouts.
Yeah. I enjoy seeing the data, seeing the improvements, and then kind of seeing the cycle written out for where I'm going to be in the future, like, months ahead. I think that really makes me motivated to want to put in the steps instead of just looking at it as like one big goal, but like, doing this day will help this outcome happen. And also I do, to be honest, sometimes it does, I do have some instances of analysis paralysis. Like I don't know how to improve something, but I don't really want to start, because I don't know if I'm going to do something wrong. But I'm slowly getting over that for sure.
Yeah, experience. And it's just tough too, because like if it was so easy, everyone would be doing the right thing. And and then sometimes you overdo it and you're like, I'm gonna do, these 20 things. You're like, well, like I can only get through 5 and I'm fried, and nothing's getting better. But Yeah, time definitely helps. I'm jumping all over the place because I'm forgetting, but I don't care because if someone doesn't like it, they can turn it off. But I saw in your description, you have a Romanian flag?
Yeah.
Are you so you're
Romanian.
Romanian unless you're just like in support of the country? But I'm
No,
assuming
no,
you're Romanian.
I am Romanian.
Big fan.
I'm a big fan of Romania for sure. But no, I was born there, and
Oh,
then
dang.
my family is a first generation immigrant. When I was like 2 years old, so I think we definitely have that immigrant mentality. And
Yeah.
but yeah, I do visit once in a while back home, and I think with some international competitions like Rogue and Copenhagen with WFP, we're planning on going there this year, which would be awesome. Like I have family there, grandparents, and it's a beautiful country for sure.
Gotcha. So were your parents like, I know you're like you said, immigrant mindset where they're like, yeah, you can do CrossFit, but like you better believe you're going to school too.
Exactly, dude. Yeah, they were the ones that were pushing, and also my grandparents as well were pushing and still push that aspect of it. Uh, so they're kind of the reason why I went back to school, because I did take 2 years off, and so I went back and finishing up right now.
Gotcha. Okay, so you bilingual?
Yeah.
Nice. You maybe that can come into play too with some international business.
Mm. Yeah.
Do you so when you go to have you been to Romania recently?
Not. Oh, actually, I did in 2022.
Okay. Is it like good gym setups there? Is it
No, they're pretty bare bones. There is like a strength and conditioning gym for like track and field athletes in the town that my parents grew up in, but there's like 1 or 2 CrossFit gyms in the whole country.
Wow.
Maybe it is an untapped market. I don't know, but like only in the capital of like in Bucharest is the main CrossFit gym.
Okay.
And I don't know if there's any other one, but yeah, I mean, it'd be sweet to see more of that in that area.
Yeah, I need to find like one of the previous gym owners, an affiliate in my area. I used to train there. Him and his family moved to Romania because that's where he's from.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they're in an affiliate or they just have like a garage gym set up. I need to ask. Maybe he'll watch this and reach out. But yeah, that's crazy. That is it an expensive trip when you guys have to go over there?
Kind of. I mean, it's not too expensive, but it is. We don't go there that often, and growing up, it was more like every 3-ish years, 4 years that we went there. So, but we try to go out there as much as we can to see family.
Yeah. Will any of your family come here to visit you guys?
Not as much as we go there, but they did, like in the early days when we first moved here. They did a lot, and my grandparents actually had a huge part in my growing up. Like they played a huge role in teaching me a lot of stuff and supporting me. So
yeah,
I'm really close with them. Now. Say that again.
Are they big fans now? Are they always tuning in?
Yeah, I would say so.
That's sick. Does your family understand CrossFit? Like, I get they probably know what it is, but like, are they like, oh, we know semifinals, and if you get top 10, you're going to the games, or are they just like, this is the next comp, and we're here no matter what, and
No, I think they just support me no matter what I do. I don't know if they understand it too much. Like they, well, like you were saying, like they're more so the mindset of, go to school, get a job, and so they don't really understand the athletic landscape as much.
Yeah, like if you won the games, they'd be like, "Oh, that's awesome." So like, when are you gonna get a job?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much, yeah.
That's cool. Do anyone in your family also do CrossFit or train?
Yeah, my whole well, both my parents and my brother do it as well.
Okay, cool. So they have a pretty good idea of what's going on.
Yeah. Like we have a garage gym set up, and so
that's sick.
Yeah, they're supportive of me for sure.
And they can appreciate a little bit more of like what you're going through, or
Mhm.
you know, when
Yeah.
you're on that 5th round of the semifinal burpees, they don't know what that feels like, but they have an idea of like, wow, he's going through it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Cool. So what's your school schedule like? Is it tough to balance, or you know, is it pretty
No,
manageable since you're part-time?
it's manageable right now. It's just like, you know, I could even do it online too. They film the classes and I watch it at home, and then only travel to the college, which is 30 minutes, like University of Washington. I
Yeah.
live 30 minutes away, but go there on test days and stuff.
Do they film the exact lecture that they're doing that day, or is it just a recorded lecture of what normally would be said that day?
The exact one that day. They have the
Okay, that's cool.
Zoom playback
Oh, that's
link
sick.
on their website.
Nice. So just listen at like 1.5 speed and
Yeah, exact two
get through
times
it.
speed. Like I that's what I always do. I just do it on 2 times and then write down the necessary equations and then hope for the best.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then when you're preparing, do you like still use those resources, or do you just like go online and you're just figuring someone else's YouTube video?
Yeah, both. Yeah, I do my own research as well for online.
Okay, cool. All right. So what's next? What are you going to do? Any other in person? Are you going back to NorCal?
No, I'm gonna. So next is gonna be the online qualifier for the second WFP stop. I think that's either June or July. I'm not too sure, but I got to
Yeah.
recheck that. And then after that, just the games.
Cool. And for WFP, did you, what did you think about the actual event? Was it, was it cool? Was it chill,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah, they had a lot of similarities to like the games and Rogue. They had a pretty good production. So I'm excited to see what it looks like, and hopefully they can market some more to get more eyeballs on it, because it looks like it's a pretty good base they set up.
Yeah, I feel like Mesa and in Arizona will probably, I would assume they'd be able to attract more people.
Yeah.
There's a ton of gyms in that area of like CrossFit Fitness, High
Mm-hmm.
Rocks, and just in general, that area is definitely more fitness oriented. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, how did you like the, did you like having to do some lighter weights in the
Yeah,
Challenger
I didn't
division?
mind it. I think it would have been different. It might have been more fun to do like the 200-pound sandbag for that
Yeah.
event, and heavier dumbbells. But even with lighter weights, it was still tough workouts, a good race. I'm probably not as beat up as the pros would be, but yeah, it was good.
Yeah, lighter doesn't always make it, that
Yeah,
much easier. And I
yeah,
get why they did it after hearing like, okay, like if you get first and you did the same weights and you put your, like your times and your scores into the pro leaderboard and you ended up getting like 5th, but you didn't get the points. So I
yeah.
guess it makes sense. So like for the point system, you can't get as many as the pro because you didn't do the same workouts.
Yeah.
I get that.
It was just
So
unfortunate
that'll be
with the
cool.
timing with like I was talking about back when I did the online qualifier with like how I had been training after the elbow stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm more confident now that I can make it to the second tour stop in the pro for sure.
Yeah, that would make a huge, difference points
Yeah.
wise. And then I don't know exactly. It seems like the online qualifier for the last one's going to be like a month long, and
Uh,
or
for which
something like.
one? Copenhagen?
Yeah,
I think Copenhagen is just taking the top 30 guys that have accumulated the most points up to that point from what I've seen.
okay.
I don't know if I might be wrong though.
No, I just saw they had something called the trials.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'll look that up
It
then. Maybe that's something I got to keep on the radar.
Yeah, it said and now I'm hoping I'm not messing it up, but it seemed like it was like a month long, and each week there was going to be like a cut,
Mm-hmm.
and it was an online comp format, and I might just
Interesting.
be, maybe I read it wrong, and that's what I'm thinking, or maybe they're doing that and it doesn't even qualify you for the finals, but
Yeah.
maybe just another way to get points.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the points shake up.
Yeah.
And with people dropping out and whatnot, like, last minute, some changes, and maybe people just don't care, or they think that they'll be fine just getting in 2 events or maybe 1 event, getting
Mm-hmm.
enough points. And And then are points worth more in the third tour?
Yeah, they're double. Or the
Oh, wow.
final, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're double.
Wait, so is there 3 tours and then a final, or is the third?
No. 2 tours this year and a final. Next year
Okay.
they're talking about doing 3 and a final.
Oh, okay. I think that would be. I mean, that would still be a lot of competing, but it could be better if people don't go to every single one. Then at least
Mhm.
you could. If you do 2, you're at least getting half of them in.
Or I'd hope they'd make a stipulation where you only have to do 2, or like it's if you do a third one, that's going to get you 0 points or something like that, so that they force people to choose their field carefully.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know, maybe that's not the best option, who knows.
Yeah, but something. Yeah, like definitely. You know. Yeah, I don't know how they could do it, but
Mhm.
um, and they're probably after the first year they'll probably have better ideas and be like, oh well, this is not what we thought would happen, so we definitely need to change it.
Mhm.
In the first, I bet you even if it goes on for a decade, the first 5 years are going to have to make changes all the time.
Mhm.
But yeah, I like the concept. And I think it's cool. More people can compete. It's definitely receiving a lot. I don't understand. I mean, I do understand some of the hate. I don't understand all of it because it's like you guys are just doing CrossFit, but you won't call it CrossFit. And I'm like, they can't. They literally legally can't call it CrossFit. They'd be in trouble. So
Mhm.
obviously they wouldn't do that, and they're not going to pay to call it CrossFit. So
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, probably the hate is more so of it being kind of a competitor to the game
yeah,
season a little bit. Well, I would just love it if everybody would get along and they could make a season where
yeah,
everyone wins. But yeah, it sucks that in the sports landscape people try and make money, and so um, that's how it is right now. But I,
yeah,
we'll see. Maybe people will lighten up, and the CrossFit as a sport and can grow together. And I liked how you put it in one of your videos. It was like we can put stuff out, we can put information out there so that athletes and coaches grow together, and that way we can uh, get more eyeballs on from the greater media network around the world,
yeah.
and people can see how truly special this type of these athletes are and how cool this sport is for sure.
Yeah, like the gatekeeping is crazy because it's like
Yeah.
hope, in 20 years if this is, still going, people might be like looking up Tudor's videos on YouTube and being like, "Oh, I just saw him he did this workout and
Mm-hmm.
like 20 years later it's still relevant," or I saw this, people are doing that now for golfers and for baseball players and you know Herschel Walker said, I'm doing this many push-ups a day, and that
Mm-hmm.
was decades ago, and they're still trying to emulate it. Like that can happen. But yeah, and like you said, if there's more people, more media, more people watching, it's like if there's every weekend, there's something to watch.
Mm-hmm.
If someone was like, "Hey, what's CrossFit?" You're like, "Oh, well, just like tune in this weekend. Like, we'll watch this live stream and I'll show you." Um, but it's tough when it's like, "Well, wait in 3 months," and then or someone always asks me like, "How can I compete?" And it's uh it's like May, and I'm like, well, you need to wait about 10 more months so you can do the open.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, and there might be a local comp near you, I don't know. And it might be terrible, you might not want to go to that, but
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, if they could just be like, are like, hey, there's a competition in 3 weeks, there's a qualifier, you can look at it, see what the workouts are like, test them. But right now it's like, if you were to be like how to compete in CrossFit online or how to do a fitness event, it's not really clear. I mean, it is for us, but if you had no idea, it'd be really hard to, navigate that and figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, and there's stuff out of our control with like management of CrossFit and
Yeah.
how this who's in charge. But I think what athletes and coaches can do is that they can focus on getting better, and as a collective system, as a collective, you know, uh, like landscape of all the competitors, we can maybe improve our total capacity to where people can see like, okay, this guy can run a 4:45 mile and clean and jerk 400 plus pounds. Like, this
Yeah.
starting to get to the point where they're so elite in multiple things that the people that are into Olympics, watching the Olympics or something, can watch this type of thing and be impressed with the athletes.
Yeah, I wish CrossFit would literally, or WFP, anybody would do something exactly like that and make it extremely simple. Go to like an Arnold Classic or go to, the fitness expos we have in Atlanta and just show up and be like, we're going to do a 1 RM back squat or a deadlift. Just make it super simple. We're going to do a 1 mile for time. And then we're going to do, like, it doesn't even have to be that well-rounded, or like max pull-ups, a max bench press, 3 super simple things that almost every gym person does: a mile bench press, and then maybe like a weighted pull up, or like even if it's like, something silly, like a 100-meter farmer's carry with something really heavy, and just be like, hey, we're giving 10 grand to whoever shows up and can win.
Yeah.
Dude, they'd have people signed up everywhere, and people would just show up and be like, oh, that's pretty cool, I'll jump in. And then they could really see what the athletes are doing and be like, oh my God, this guy, like you said, just ran a 440 mile, pulled a 600 deadlift, and then just, ran with 100 pounds per hand for, 200 meters.
Yeah. And Rogue Fitness does some of that with their online challenges.
Yes.
They're very like relatable to a lot of people. Like you're hanging on a pull-up bar for this X amount of time, or you're carrying a heavy sandbag as long as you can. But yeah, I'd love to see more in-person exhibition stuff. That's actually a really good idea, to just go to these expos or these fitness already established like big fitness spaces and do something like that to show, because I feel like CrossFitters would win that. Like CrossFitters are the most balanced, and so like doing like an exhibition decathlon of a bunch of smaller tests,
like a combine,
like a monostructural, all a bunch of stuff, and seeing who comes out on top. That'd be cool.
Yeah, I mean, just do like a 40-yard dash, 225 max bench press. You'll get every guy who played football or thought he was, a beast at doing something like that. But then you throw in like a 2K row. Just be like, well, you got to do all 3. And then we just got a comment, or a grappling contest. Yeah. Or maybe some grappling.
Yeah.
Like arm wrestling match. That would be sick, because then you're definitely going to get people in there. And then they'll be like, yeah, like, wow. They realize maybe I have a huge hole. Like I couldn't even row in half the time someone else did. Maybe that'll push them into a CrossFit gym.
Yeah. Well, one more point is that part of the reason what attracted me to the conjugate method is that they're working with a bunch of different types of athletes. Like my coach also coaches an MMA fighter. So like just putting my foot in the door in that space as well, or in multiple, how do I put it? Like in
multiple disciplines.
In different disciplines, even though I'm not fighting, but maybe I can do a collaboration one day with, my fellow athlete, and we can like maybe put it on Instagram or something and show more people, get more views like from different audiences.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. And I think, conjugate definitely, like in the fighting world, wrestling, CrossFit, powerlifting, there's a good crossover from a lot of that, because those sports require like serious training, not just like some conditioning and strength work. Like you actually have to work really, really hard and not just your discipline. But yeah, I think that would definitely be huge.
The fighters mostly do CrossFit. Like they don't say it, but their conditioning is CrossFit for sure.
And if they found out there was a more optimal way of doing it, like meeting your coach or meeting another coach and being like, oh, wow, I was doing this and I was doing it really poorly. Like what if I had this for 5 years?
Yeah. And they have to be at 90% for the greater part of a year. Like it's not just being at 100% once every 4 years, like the Olympics. Like we as CrossFitters and fighters as well, they have to be on it for a long time, like their whole career. They have to be performing at a high level. So Conjugate Tactical does a good job about with their GBP model of always being at 85 to 90%, like never truly peaking, but because like with military personnel and cops and firefighters, they always have to be ready. So that I like that sort of ideology.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I can't remember who it was. It was someone in con. It could have been Louis. It could have been AJ. Maybe your coach. They were talking about, it's common in the fighting world. Like you get an opportunity and you have to do really well, and you might be called, hey, this fighter just dropped out. You've got 3 weeks. If you want to fight, you can be on a
Yeah.
main card.
Yeah.
And if you're like, a lot of them are like, my camp will be 8 weeks. Is there another card I can get on? But, if you're, like you said, 80, 85, 90% there, and it's like 3 weeks, I'll dial in. They might not even need to be in the gym that much. They're just now like, getting into the flow of fighting and sparring or whatever it is. I'm not exactly sure, but, now they're ready and they might have that opportunity. They might have a huge win. And all of a sudden they're like, hey, you want to come on the main card in 3 more months? We get you another one. And that can change their life.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's why a lot of the conjugate stuff is, it looks kind of weird. Like we do like a death marches or the belt squat machine. But it's like the most potent thing that, I forgot what the term was, but like I don't know if it was Juggernaut or somebody that defined it, but the least amount of volume that you have to do for the most amount of potency.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's IV, something like that. I don't know. LV something, but either way, yeah. So like we do a lot of really potent stuff that gets a lot of the fastest stimulus, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. If you haven't, it's hard to replicate it without the belt squat. Like you can do it on some bands, but when you're on the belt squat and it's loaded up and you're like 20 seconds in, you're like, dude, what are they talking about? And then you hit 30 seconds and you're like, I cannot lift my knee above my hip.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, man. It's like you don't get to the point where you can barely walk very easily, but with that thing you can.
Yeah. That's like dream equipment is I want the Rogues functional trainer, like the cables that has the belt squat in the middle of it. So it's like a squat rack with the belt squat with the cables. You just never leave your little square and you can get 80% of your training done.
Yeah. And if you ever are interested, set up a ski erg.
And then I've seen people do it, and I mean I've never done it. I've never even had the opportunity to do it, but I saw someone recently doing it. It looks kind of nuts.
Dude, it's crazy because you're getting resistance in both planes. Like as you're going up, you're resisted by the belt squat, and as you're pulling down, you're resisted with the handles. So it just kills your midline and pretty much your whole body.
Yeah, I need that on my bucket list. I saw someone doing a bike erg while skiing at the same time. It looked a little more gimmicky, but hey, they had to get their training in, so they're like, I'll just combine these two.
Yeah, and you're not seated or on the bike erg you are, but with the belt squat you're not.
Yeah.
It's like a echo bike, like the echo bike you're using upper body and lower body, but without being seated. So like there's a loading component to it.
Yeah. Yeah, like because obviously with the normal skier, you can like take a breath. You're standing. You have no weight. I guess someone could do put on a vest and get somewhat of an idea of it, but it's not the same. Like you're being pulled. There's a force you're resisting.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Well, I won't take up any more time. I appreciate you joining. What any plugs you got? Any sponsors? Any I guess we already talked about your coaches.
Yeah, I mean, for my coaches, if you guys are interested, look up at Conjugate Tactical Training on Instagram, and then at Conquer Athlete. Those two I work with closely, and then my Instagram is at tmagda1. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I guess final question: 100 men versus 1 gorilla.
100 men for sure.
You are? Oh no.
Yeah, dude. Like coordinated human strength is very
I think
powerful.
This is one of my buddies, so we've talked about it a few times. It's like depending the mindset of the people, if it's like 100 average random men, and you guys got 30 minutes, it's not happening. But maybe if you had like hive mind, like everyone, on the same page, dedicated plan. I told everybody if it was 100 of me, it would just be me and 99 people clapping for me to take out the gorilla. Like I can do it one-on-one, no problem. Obviously.
I'm the gorilla.
Yeah. I'm the winner.
I'm the gorilla. I can take him on.
But this
albino gorilla.
Yeah, the 100 men versus 1 gorilla. It's gotten the meme is almost like too viral where someone's gonna set like, you know, someone in Russia is gonna set this up, or like some rich dude's gonna buy a gorilla.
Dude. Oh no. Yeah, like Squid Games or something that somebody does that type of stuff.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy. Yeah. I just think that, I mean, they've had it in the past where in the Roman times gladiators were fighting lions and tigers and stuff. So
Yeah.
honestly, if a human is in a life or death situation, there's 100 humans in a life or death situation. I feel like they could, even if they're average Joes, they could use their human intelligence to outsmart one beast. I don't know, but that's just me.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see when they
Yeah.
put it out on
I mean,
interwebs or something. The
Mr.
dark
Beast.
web, go on Tor browser and look up 100 men versus one gorilla.
Yeah, who knows? It actually might already be done. Like it might be
Oh
floating
my
around.
gosh, that's so messed up, dude. Oh man.
All right, cool. All right, well, I'll definitely have to have you back on. Maybe we can get Jason or your other coach back on too, and maybe talk about some training. That'd be sick.
Legit.
Yeah, maybe we'll see how it goes. But yeah, appreciate you coming on. Thanks for everyone for watching. You know, you heard him. Follow his coaches. Your Instagram's at is it Magda? Am I saying it right?
Yeah, T Magda 1.
T Magda 1. You can follow him there. Thanks, everybody.
All right, sweet.